You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Before I even get to the ultimate question, have you been impressed at what they've done so far this season?
Well, I've definitely been impressed. I mean, you can't help but be impressed. Look, I knew Girardi was a very good manager, and same thing for Cashman as a GM. But I think what they've done this year, I mean, Cashman's been like everything he's touched turns to gold this year so far.
They lose a 3,100 guy at second. They have a 40-year-old shortstop. They really have no third baseman. Their first baseman has missed half the year.
The third baseman playing first base last night.
Yeah. Their catcher has been subpar. They've lost 5 starters from the rotation for the season. Their bullpen has been the glue that's held this team together. Ichiro has been awful. Soriano's not even on the team anymore because he's been so bad. And somehow between Solarte's doing well at times and, cobbling together Kelly Johnson and Brian Roberts and now Drew and Prado, they are sitting here 1 game behind the Blue Jays for that final wild card spot.
And when you have that many injuries, especially the top players, it can just deflate a locker room. And that's why I'm so impressed with Girardi. He's done it before. Remember in 2006, he was manager of the year in the National League, his first year with the Marlins. So he's done this before with not a ton of talent. But his ability to keep these guys engaged and keep them playing hard and, the things they're doing, I do have to give him a lot of credit. I probably would say, look, it's his worst season record-wise yet with the Yankees.
Right.
But when you look at the circumstances, right now to date, I probably would say it's his most impressive job.
Which is
right
really now. Are you at the point where you would say they're 5 games behind the Orioles, that the Yankees will not win this division, or is that premature in your eyes?
I don't totally write them off like there's no way. Because, the Orioles could struggle at some point. I don't think that's out of the realm.
Big number, though. 5 for. Let's be honest. Even if the Yankees are improving or going to make the postseason, I don't.
Were they 11-6 since the All-Star, right?
I don't know. What the
11-6.
But you look at who they've played outside of the Tigers and the Blue Jays.
Let's see how impressive they are. And they haven't been great at home. They've been bad at home.
They're not.
So what if they start playing well at home? Because they've been good on the road.
So you wouldn't be surprised if the Yankees won this division?
I would be surprised.
I would be shocked if they did.
I would be surprised. I'm not going to totally say there's no chance, but I don't think they can catch Baltimore. No.
So you think now they will make it, they won't catch Baltimore. Is that where you would go?
I'm not even saying I'm guaranteeing they're going to make the
playoffs. But do you think, if I said to you, Yankees, yes or no, they make the playoffs, you have to give me a yes or no.
Right now?
Yes.
I'm looking at Toronto, Kansas City, Cleveland, Seattle. Gun to my head, I'll say yes, they make the playoffs.
Yes or no, gun to your head, Yankees win the division.
No.
That's easier than the other one.
That's totally easy.
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if they won the division.
Yeah, I think that's very unrealistic right now because you got to get past Toronto and Baltimore in 5 games for a team that's, I don't know, what are they? They're decent, they're good, they're average, whatever you want to say is a big number with the injuries that they're suffering from. Let's find out what some of the people think. Elon and Freehold, you're on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Hey, guys, you guys are doing a great job covering for these guys today. What I think in particular, I think it's all Girardi. Cashman in the offseason, he brought in McCann, not so good. Girardi's keeping the bullpen together. It's all on Girardi. I'm not even a Yankee fan, but watching from the outside, we have no rotation. Girardi's the one putting them in order. Yes, Cashman brought in some of these guys, and they've gotten lucky at, the talent that's, come into play, mainly McCarthy. But I give the credit to Girardi. Obviously we can't control injuries. But, the catching, they brought in McCann. I go back to that. It's not so good. You let Cano go. Obviously, it's because of the money. You have people playing in all random positions. If Cashman was doing such a great job, then, you'd have a third baseman playing third base. Instead, Girardi is mixing and matching and making it work. So I think he's the one doing the great job. And Cashman, not so much.
Really? You look at what Cashman has done by adding all who brought in McCarthy? Who traded Nuno for McCarthy? That was Cashman.
That I give Cashman credit for that, but with regards to all of the other positions that you have random positions playing different positions, the bullpen is the only thing that has kept this team in line, and it's Girardi who's been the one that's picking and choosing and placing these guys in the timely situations. It's not a team built up of talent, but there's a manager who's able to take the talent that he has and put the pieces in place.
Well, but I think, Elon, and I think, Christy, you have to look at it and say, yes, Girardi's done a phenomenal job, but McCarthy's 4-0 with an ERA of 2. Girardi didn't magically find him on the mound one day. Cashman acquired him. Yeah, Prado's an upgrade.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think you can belittle what Cashman's done. Now, who's been more impressive? Maybe you do go with Girardi, because he's right. He's mixed and matched and been great in that regard. But Cashman has found guys. Why it wasn't, I can't say it was luck. He's been doing this a long time, but he found guys that were struggling elsewhere. I mean, Chase Headley, was struggling in San Diego. Yeah. And he comes here and he's been a productive player. So him looking at those guys and believing in them or seeing something that made him think they'd be able to contribute to this team, I have to give him some credit for that.
Yeah, I think he deserves a ton of credit. Brett in Jersey, you're on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline. What's up, Brett?
Hey, guys, thanks for taking my call. I've been a baseball fan for a while, and I do not like the Yankees, but I don't understand how anybody can say that this isn't the best job that those two guys have done. I mean, no offense to Brett Gardner, he's a good player, but when Brett Gardner is your best player and your best pitcher right now has double-digit losses, I just don't get it. I don't understand how they're good. Disliking the Yankees, I don't want to see them do good, but I don't get how they're good. The fact that they're this good, I just don't see how you can say that those two guys haven't had the best.
Well, here's the thing, Brett. You know that I am impressed in what they've done, but I don't know that good is the fair word. They're 58 and 53. Is that good, or is that? That's a little better than average, Chris. It's not like the Yankees are sitting here, 70 and 39 and rolling. They are. I mean, like Andrew said, they're fighting for that worst worst spot to get into the postseason. So to say I don't know how they're here, I think they've done a remarkable job to get to this point. But I'm not going to sit here and go gaga over it's just unbelievable that they're sitting here.
Well, as you mentioned all the injuries, though, if somebody had told you in April that all these injuries were going to take place, and even that these were the players, Chase Headley, Brandon McCarthy, Martin Prado, these were the guys they'd be bringing in. And would you think they'd be where they're at right now? Probably not.
I mean, they're 58 and 53. It feels like people are looking at this club saying they're 18 games over 500. I don't know. I don't know.
For them to be, you hear. I mean, you heard Marchand. You hear, after us, Michael Kay and LaGreca. A lot of people think they're getting in the playoffs.
They might.
A lot of people seem to think
they have
that.
A chance. And I don't think they're a good team, but they still might not.
But maybe that's the state of baseball. But if they can get in the playoffs, I think you have to give them a ton of credit, especially with all these injuries. And then, can you imagine if they make the playoffs and Tanaka is back? You don't think they could be dangerous?
Tanaka, could you imagine this, by the way? If you're the Angels or you're the A's, and you win 96 games and you get the wild card, and you go up against the Yankees in a one game and Tanaka is on the mound, I mean, what kind of advantage is that for that team? But I want to get into this now. I put it off as long as I could. But I think we have to. Biogenesis, Tony Bosch and his offices are under siege today, and he gets arrested at 6 o'clock in the morning. And you know what? It's a huge story, and it certainly is a discussion point, but maybe I'm just kind of jaded. This does not surprise me. I'm not shocked by it. This, for me, is just – it was a matter of time until he got arrested. His cohorts got arrested. A-Rod's cousin, Yuri Sukart, got arrested.
Is that shocking?
This doesn't surprise – I know it's the lead story. I know it's on ESPN. I know it's on SportsCenter. I know they're breaking in, and it's huge coverage and all that stuff. And I get it, but – if you had said to me, this is 6 months ago, Dave, this is going to happen, I'd say, yeah, I would imagine that this is going to happen.
You can't be surprised at this point. With all that has happened over the past decade with PEDs in baseball, you cannot be surprised. This is what I want to know, though, and I want your opinion and even some of the callers. why in baseball, when you do PEDs, and I'm not condoning it in any way, shape, or form, but when you get caught for PED use in baseball, it is the worst thing in the world. Your whole career and legacy is ruined.
Your reputation is tarnished.
Totally. If it happens to a football player, it's not the same thing. People don't even really care. You get your 4 games, you get your 6-game suspension, and then you come back and it's like it never happened. Why? Now, track and field is similar to baseball in that regard. You know, as far as the severity of how people feel about it,
and
right?
They'll strip you of medals,
and
fact,
your whole
right?
and
Marion
anything
Jones,
you did is ruined.
Ben Johnson.
Yep. Anything you did is destroyed as far as your legacy. But in football, basketball, you don't see it as much, but even in basketball, I don't think it's viewed the same way. Why in baseball? It's such a discrepancy between baseball and football.
And I could be wrong, but here's why I think. If I said to you growing up, and you and I are similar in ages, I'm
45. How old are you?
For the record, a little bit older than me, and I want that understood.
You don't want to give your age out on there?
I'm 41, but I just want to understand that you are a little bit older than I am. But if you, growing up, if I said to you, most home runs in a season, did you even need to think about it? Or did you say Roger Maris 61?
You knew.
Okay.
You knew.
If I said to you most home runs in a career, did you need to think about it, or was Hank Aaron 755 just right there? And I mean, you could go.
And you still didn't even know Babe Ruth 715.
Right.
You still
714.
714.
Yeah.
714.
You could go down the list and Cobb 41, 91 was it that I think he had, and this is what I think it is.
Okay.
The numbers in baseball are so revered and looked at as the game it's bigger than it's the stats, it's the numbers, it's the history, it's the lineage, and that makes it bigger than that makes when you cheat the game, you don't just cheat your team or your moment, you cheat the history of baseball. You look at me like I'm crazy.
No, I hear, because I've heard that argument before. That's what you hear from all the writers, right, who vote for the Hall of Fame and all that. And there is some legitimacy to that. But this would be my argument. We are acting like in the past guys weren't doing anything. And we know that they were taking amphetamines out the wazoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, greenies.
They used to have them in the locker rooms.
Yeah, in the locker. Hank Aaron admitted to taking greenies in his book. You know, so, and those are illegal, or at least, you know, they're PEDs now. Okay, so why the hypocrisy? In my book, I think it's hypocrisy to act like everybody before McGuire and Sosa was completely clean. And, you know, it was so, you know, there was no wrongdoing and all those records were totally unblemished. And now we can't put these guys in the Hall of Fame because we know they were doing something. We know they were doing things. Tom House, I got an article on my phone. Tom House, former pitcher and former pitching coach, he says back in the 60s and 70s, this is in USA Today, 6 to 7 pitchers on each staff were taking amphetamines, HGH. This is in the 60s and 70s. Human growth hormone and whatever steroid they could find in order to keep up with the competition. So that's my point. It wasn't untarnished back then. The record book wasn't untarnished.
Belief. Is it that
why is it the belief, though? Because we're sticking our hands in the sand? This article was in USA Today.
Let's continue this conversation. And here's my take, and I want to ask you this question as well, and open up to the callers at 1-800-919-3776. Do you even care? Like, today is going – you're going to look – I mean, look, you look up, ESPN has Pedro Gomez on one TV, Jason Stark on another TV. Every sport – you got Bosch being, you know, led away by the DEA agents. Do you even care? Like, as a baseball fan, is this even a day where this matters to you, or is this just happened to be the hot-button story? Like, it doesn't even matter to me. This doesn't faze me. I expect this. This is what baseball has become. And you know what? If we open up the phone lines for the Mets starting staff, nobody's going to care. We open up the phone lines for this at 800-919-3776. People are going to go crazy about Bosch and the records, and there's your issue. People care about football and how it goes on the field. People care about the side things with Major League Baseball.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. It's time Time for a frenzy. A football frenzy. Any team, any player, any question. Call now at 800-919-3776 or tweet at Rothenberg ESPN, hashtag football frenzy, and ask us your NFL questions.
All right, Rothenberg and Broussard in for Stephen A. Ryan Ruocco here, ESPN New York 98.7 FM. This is going to change your life. Are you ready for this?
Hearing so much about it, I guess I'm ready. Now or never.
It's a big deal. It's my creation, which makes it.
Is it your creation?
Yeah. I created it.
I'm gonna give you props for that.
And how about this, by the way? I created the Football Frenzy, and Michael Kay's show just happened to come up with this genius baseball blast weeks later, and then like a basketball bonanza as well.
That does sound like they bit. I
should have trademarked this thing. That was my biggest
But
mistake.
I'll give you props for that. I haven't given you a lot of props these last 2 days. I'm giving you props.
Do you not like me?
No, I like you.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm trying to save your marriage.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You just don't want me a single guy is what you don't. You don't want me to turn me on the loose is what you don't want to happen. All right, let's go to the guys. Let's avoid this where it's going, and that might be questionable.
Let's change course very quickly.
John, if you would, I know you love the Football Frenzy. Why don't you start us out here?
If Broussard's not a fan of an NFL team, is he really a fan at all?
Oh, yes. You can love football without loving one particular team.
Can you?
Yes. I love the game. I love the passing. I love the running. I love the sacks. I love the hitting, the tackling, the jaw-rattling sticks that people put on one another.
Into every game.
The kickoff returns. That's what I love.
But you go into every game with, if they win, fine. If the other team wins, also fine.
Here's the test. If your wife says she wants to go out to dinner, but there's a 4 o'clock game on, what are you doing?
He's going to go. I know he would go.
Unbelievable.
No.
Go.
Some of that depends on the circumstance.
The circumstance
It depends on where things are in the house right now.
Oh,
right?
Please.
Look, you'll see. You haven't been married. How long you been married?
10 years.
Okay, not as long as me. I'm almost double you.
So you're one of those guys that because you have 19 years, you know more than I do.
Yes, for sure.
Even more reason you should be going to dinner.
What you will realize is that as you get older and longer married, you just want peace. You want peace in the house. That's all you. Stephen A. the Love Doctor. Look. I'm giving. You want peace in the house.
Not when it comes at
That's all
at
you
the
want, man. You don't want
games.
tension. You don't want tension. So you get enough stress and tension outside of the home, in your job, in your career, and all that. You want peace in the house. So I compromise. We've done this before. We would go to a restaurant that had the games on TV. We sit at the bar and have a nice meal and watch the game.
Now you're an embarrassment.
See?
You're an embarrassment.
See? What's wrong with that?
Because you know what? You lock yourself in your house. You tell your wife that football Sundays you're not available for any kind of, noshing or eating or food or anything like that. Act like a man, for God's sake.
It's easy for you to say that right now. Believe me.
You would ask
where's
my
your wife?
wife?
Where's Miss Rothenberg?
No, it's way too early to see.
Where's Miss Rothenberg? Get her up here.
We've had her on the air. We're not bringing her.
But
on the
no,
air.
I do watch football all Sunday, so I am a big fan. So Winthrop.
All right, you're embarrassing. Let's go to Sean in Amityville. Sean, you're on the Football Frenzy.
I wanted to know what's the chances Dean Milner-Time leads the league in interception?
No, he's not. I would say it's very unrealistic.
Do you believe that?
I cut
Is
him
he off?
Yeah.
You cut him off. Just
well, no, it's very fast-paced here.
No, there's no way. Love to see it, but there's no way.
But you would love to see anybody. If it's Milner, if it's Princeton Mukamar.
I like the Jets. I told you I like the New York area teams.
Yeah, for the moment. All right, Madison Miller tweets in, do you think, I'm going to leave this for you. Do you think the Giants will make the playoffs? We know you'd love to see it because you love the Giants, but do you think they'll make it?
I'm looking at, you know what? I'm going to say yes.
Oh, I like that.
I think they can win the division. Philly scares me a little bit. Dallas, obviously not. Washington, Philly is the competition. I think Nick Foles may come back to earth a little bit. I'm going to say the Giants make the playoffs.
There you go. All right, Jeff, what do you got?
Does Chris Broussard own an Andy Dalton jersey?
Oh.
No, I do not. I'm just saying the dude is pretty good. You don't throw for 4,200 yards and not be a good quarterback. Who's done that?
I'd have to go to the numbers, but I've seen 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions.
And you can say all you want about the great receivers, and he does have great receivers, but these guys, I don't care how great your receiver is, you have to put the ball in the vicinity for them to catch it, and he does that.
Would you stop
let the young
baiting
kid
him
learn.
with the you know the guy's obsessed with Andy Dalton.
Let the young kid learn.
You love the redheads. All right, let's go to Norman in Dobbs Ferry. You're on the Football Frenzy. What's up, Norm?
Yeah, I'd like to ask you, how do you think the Giants are going to do without David Wilson? And what do you think of the 2 running backs we got? I like these 2 new guys.
I don't think that the David Wilson loss is, well, I think in one aspect it's big, but I think that they prepared for it. I think the Giants did not expect him this year, so it doesn't surprise me at all. I agree with you. I like Jennings and I like Andre Williams. I think a lot of that is dependent on what was so awful last year, and that was the offensive line.
Yeah, I think they're fine without him. It would have been nice to have him as another weapon, but like you said, they prepared for him. I have confidence in Jennings and Williams.
Based Tom tweets in over 12 picks for Eli Manning.
Oh, over.
Yeah, he threw 27 last year.
I mean, and that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad season. If he throws 15, 17, I'll take that as long as he got a lot more touchdowns.
Yeah, look, if he, you don't think it's
if
reasonable
he goes
to think he's
29 and 17,
yeah.
I'll take that, right?
I think that's numbers that if you're a Giants fan, you'd probably bring 1 interception a game. I think for Eli Manning, you know he forces the ball. You know that he takes chances. I think that's reasonable. All right, John, what do you got?
Who has a bigger season this year, Eric Decker or Emmanuel Sanders, who's basically replacing Decker in Denver?
I will say Sanders just because the system is better. I mean, you look, you're the 3rd receiver in Denver. I think the 3rd receiver in Denver puts up better numbers than the 1st receiver with the Jets.
No question. It's going to be Sanders without a doubt.
You actually agree with me on something?
I agree with you on that. Well, you agree with me because I told you yesterday, Decker, he's okay. He's not a number 1 receiver. You were praising him yesterday.
I think that he's better than what the Jets had. Yes, I absolutely do. 1-800-919-3776 at Rothenberg, ESPN, at Chris_Broussard. Daryl in Manhattan. You're on the Football Frenzy, Daryl.
Hey, what's up, guys? Do you guys think the Steelers are going to make the playoffs? If you don't think they're going to make it, why not?
A 2-part question from Daryl. I think the Steelers are right there. I like Pittsburgh. I think Roethlisberger's tremendous. I think their offensive line will be better. Obviously, they lost Sanders, but it seems like Heath Miller is going to be healthy this year. If the secondary is good, the Steelers will be fine. But you know what? And this is going to incite you, and I'm not trying to. I still think top to bottom, the Bengals are the better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Really?
Yeah.
You do?
I do.
Why?
Because I think that
good
from
quarterback.
No, I think that when you look at the rest of their team, they are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They win the division, but I think Pittsburgh can get that wild card, get a wild card spot.
Rob Camerino, over under 20 touchdowns for Geno Smith this season. I'll leave that for you first.
Ooh, that's a good one. Over, under. I mean, look, I'm pulling for the Jets to make the playoffs. So if I want them to make the playoffs, I have to go over. So I'm going to go over with a lot of hesitancy.
Okay.
Because I don't even know if he'll be the guy for 16 games.
So you are going over 20. I'm going to say
that's
under.
more wishful thinking.
Yeah, because I don't think he's the guy for the entire season. So I can't go over. Wait till you hear this sound effect. That ends the Football Frenzy. You loved it, didn't you?
That was great.
Thanks for listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Be sure to listen weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
This Sunday, NASCAR's best drivers tangle on the road course at the Glen, with Chase Hopes hanging in the balance. 43 drivers battle, 16 advance, 5 races to go. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Watkins Glen. Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Why is it that in other non-baseball sports, when we find out guys have done illegal things, be it PEDs or, I don't know, greenies or drugs or whatever the case may be, we kind of slough it off. It's no big deal. Doesn't really bother us. When it's baseball, stop the presses. We can't have that. It's just not fair. Tony Bosch is arrested. A-Rod's cousin is involved, and it's a story that we can't get enough of. Why baseball matters so much? Other sports,
Well, I think numbers have a lot to do with baseball. When you think about baseball, numbers are everything. When you go back to the history of baseball, so I think when all of a sudden you feel like these guys are not doing what's right, or they're fudging the rules, it affects the numbers. And when you watch baseball, you got to be a number guy, because numbers kind of equate what baseball is all about, and you can go back historically and look at the numbers. And so I think when you do something like that, it sends everybody in a tizzy.
Herm, let me ask you this. Let's get to this game right now, football.
Yeah.
If you were coaching the Jets, would you leave the quarterback battle open? And if Michael Vick looks better, which I would believe he's going to in preseason, if he looks better, would he be your starter?
There's an old saying, and you guys appreciate this. Listen to your eyes. This is what you do when you're a football coach. Imagine this. I've always said this sometimes. We presume, we look at things sometimes, and when you look at numbers, especially in football, you look at numbers and you go, oh, that's number such and such, he's a good player. I've always said this. Sometimes coaches need to go to practice and just take the numbers off the jersey and let them play and figure out who the best player is. It's like that old pickup basketball game. When you're the new guy on the block, you kind of come over in the neighborhood and you sit down, and some guys got shirts on, some guys got skins, and you don't know anybody, and you just kind of watch. You say, I better take those 4 guys right there because they're the best guys. And you don't know the number. You don't know who they are. And that's what you're talking about right now. The perception is Geno Smith needs to be the starting quarterback, rightly so. But let Michael Vick compete, because listen to your eyes. I always say that. If you listen to your eyes always tell you the truth.
But does Vick have to dominate the preseason competition, if you want to call it that, to be able to get this job? I mean, if it's close, wouldn't you give it to Geno?
Oh, sure. If it's close, yes, you're going to give it to Geno, because it's his job to lose. Who moves the offense? Remember, this offense was 25th in the league. This is the offense in a passing league that threw 13 touchdown passes, Geno Smith did. This is a passing league. You throw 13 touchdown passes, by the way, man, that's not very good. You want a number? That's not very good, okay? You score 18 points? That's not very good either, man. It's a scoring league, okay? So just listen to that, and when you're the quarterback and you turn the ball over now, you turn it over 25 times, that's not good, man. And you got a playoff defense? Guess what? You got to listen to your eyes as this thing plays out.
So it sounds to me like you would take Vic.
I would take the guy I take the best player. Who's the best player?
Right now it's Vic, but Vic, man.
No, who's the best player? When you watch the preseason, and you'll appreciate this. The one thing about sports, if you let all the guys participate, if you just let them participate, the players figure out who the best players are. Now, you as a coach can stand before the meeting and say, oh, we're going to go this way because no, but the players know when they sit in the meeting, that's the best player, coach. Why are we playing this other guy? Let them play.
Well, speaking of players, we had a debate yesterday, and Dave was talking about Andy Dalton like he was garbage.
No, that's not true.
And I said Andy Dalton is a quality quarterback in this league.
So full of it.
not. Coach, tell us about Andy Dalton.
This is unfair, Coach.
He was killing Andy Dalton.
I said he's an average quarterback. And
even average. I think he's above average. Three times in the playoffs.
Well, and when you think about that, only 3 have done it their first 3 years in the era of the Super Bowl. He happens to be one of them. And he played.
Who were the other 2?
Well, and think about them. And when you play in a division, we have Big Ben. That's been to 3 Super Bowls. Joe Flacco has won a Super Bowl. His division record in that division in the last 3 years is 8-10. Big Ben's is 11-7. Flacco is 13-5. Okay, so this is the division this young guy's playing in with some quarterbacks that have more experience than him right now. So you look at that. You look at this football team, and what I say is this. Very simple. In big games, in the big moments, this team's not very good. 2-4 in primetime games, 0-3 in the playoffs. Okay, now you say, well, this is why you don't pay the guy. Well, this is why you did pay the guy, because you're in the playoffs the last 3 years, and you're paying him for what he's done. Going forward, when you look at this contract, how it's structured, it's all a matter of what he can do. It's similar to Colin Kaepernick's contract when you really break it down. And remember this, guys. The great Peyton Manning, first ballot Hall of Famer, going to get a yellow jacket, broke a many record, will continue to break records. His first 3 shots at the playoffs, he's 0-3. 0-3, and on the third game, he got beat 41-0.
Who beat him 41-0?
The Airplanes.
Who was the head coach of that team?
Got him. Oh, I don't know, but I'm just saying the Airplanes got him.
All right.
Why are we
Thank you.
all excited about this? Relax.
So he's an above average quarterback.
He didn't say that.
He is who he is. He's Andy Dalton. Listen, here's something. Let's understand this. When you think about Ben and you think about Flacco, 2 quarterbacks in his division, as good as those guys are, they had a pretty good supporting cast with them on the defensive side of the football. Russell Wilson just won a Super Bowl, guys. In his career thus far, he's averaging about 25 passes a game. That's it, 25. You look at the numbers. He threw up 407 passes last year. He's not a volume thrower, but in his system and the supporting cast with him allows this team to play very well. Well, guess what? This is what has to happen with the Cincinnati Bengals. And they have a pretty good defense, but we had some guys missing off this defense last year, as you know. Geno Atkins was missing, all right? Leon Hall was missing. These guys are back. They draft a corner out of Michigan State. They want to run the football a little bit more, okay? So Andy Dalton's not going to be pressed to be some volume passer, which if you do that to the guy, you expose him.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you joining us on the Lexus of Route 10 hotline. I'm sorry that Chris got a little bit out of control.
Thank you for siding with me on that one, Coach.
Hey,
I appreciate
it. Just let me know if you get any underground information about them boys.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate a couple of minutes.
Coach.
You are listening to the best of the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Ruocco Show on ESPNNewYork.com. Hear them weekday afternoons from 1 to 3 on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
This Sunday, NASCAR's best drivers tangle on the road course at the Glen, with Chase Hopes hanging in the balance. 43 drivers battle, 16 advance, 5 races to go. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Watkins Glen. Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN.